So recently I've been watching a shitload of horror movies recently. Why? I mean, cause like, okay, so funny little thing. So, alright, actually before we start off, I'm gonna have everyone hit the subscribe button real quick. We're gonna be trying to drop videos every single week now. So, just come back in and check in every once in a while. So, back with little baby iNDiGO back in the day, right? I used to fucking hate horror movies. Hated them. They disgusted me to my fucking core. Couldn't do it, right? I think I could handle shit like Scream and Final Destination, cause that's a little more like grounded in reality and shit like that, right? But when it came to shit with like ghosts and shit like that, or demons, I wasn't a religious kid. I just didn't know if those things were out there. And in my mind, growing up in a religious family and having that shit be around me, I was kind of thinking like, what if watching this movie is low key a portal or like a way for like this way to enter into my life? So I just stayed the fuck away from it. And then by the time high school came and shit like that, I started watching and shit like that. And as I got more into film, it just became one of my favorite genres almost instantly. It's been around for around like at least, I'd say around like 100 years, 80 to 100 years at this point. I'm not sure exactly. I'll look it up and put it right here. I'm not sure which one is the first horror movie exactly, but I do know that like some of the first shit ones are like The Mummy, Dracula, Frankenstein, all the shit that Universal did back in the day, all those early horror movies, right, and shit. Go watch them, they're dope as shit. They're really cool, Outside of that, it's gone through different phases, especially if you look at each separate decade. It'll either be like a phase of horror lasts every like 1 to 2 decades, sometimes 3, but like in the early days we saw like monster horror most of the time. It was like these monsters, they'd be in like, they usually come from like these they'd come from like the stories of different countries, and like they're quote unquote cryptids and shit like that. So Dracula's also, like, obviously he's from Transylvania, Mummy from Africa, Egypt, exactly. Where else? Frankenstein. I think Frankenstein is somewhere in Europe. I'm 100% sure and shit. But it just grew into this big fucking mess. Now, this was happening for a few years, right? And around the 60s and 70s, this is when we started to see slashers and shit started popping off. This is where we see Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, who else? Fucking Freddy Krueger, and like, everything else that's mixed in there. The fucking big ass amalgamation of horror bullshit. I'd say like this shit is, a lot of it's, some of it's good, but most of it's fucking cheesy. But the parts that are cheesy are really fucking bad. But you should watch them, because even if you watch the bad shit, you'll know like what you shouldn't do, and you should fucking listen, because some of these movies you guys make are bad. I'm kidding, but no, they started to grow, gained in popularity, and this is when we started to see franchises. Well, earlier on there was some quote-unquote franchises, but nothing like this. It was completely different ballpark. I think by the end of like the 90s, Jason had at least 10 fucking movies. At least fucking 10. It's fucking ridiculous. It's like the MCU, but for a different genre. And it's like, even though the MCU is going bad now, it's like most of it was fucking shitty. Okay, a lot of it was just nudity based. Fucking, it was trying to appeal to certain audiences. It was definitely a relic of its time. And this is when we started to see horror dwindle down and shit like that, And people thought like these movies weren't gonna. Every once in a while we had something good pop up, but like overall it wasn't a big genre anymore. And that's when Scream hit the fucking fan in 2000 or 2001, which one of those years, right? Now this is my generation's time of horror. We at this point it's been around for a long period of time. We've seen different tropes and scenarios be repeated over and over again. And Scream was a series that came in. It was directed by Wes Craven. I'm pretty sure he didn't write it though, or came up with the original plot. But he's known for the series. He came and made this fucking quote unquote like smart and snarky fucking all the characters are really sarcastic. They're aware of what's going on in the world, and they realize how stupid it is, and they use the rules of the other horror movies to get a fucking SD card. We also saw Scary Movie, which is also another parody type of thing, which only added to this weird like horror culture that was going on. Things weren't getting taken like seriously most of the time in horror movies. Like everyone was either self-aware, or there was like a lot of comedy characters, you know, like characters that fell into tropes and shit like that. And you know, they were just basically slaughterhouses and shit like that. And you know, it was cool. We got some cool ones every once in a while, but like a lot of it was ass again. But by the time around like the 2010s started popping off, we saw another change in horror starting to happen. Something that I kind of fucks with it a lot. It's just like, it's quote unquote, I think people call it quote unquote smart horror, or whatever it may be. These are movies like movies like The Babadook, Smile, Barbarian, some of the newer Scream movies. A lot of people are liking them. That has some bullshit going on with it. I'll probably make a video about it too. You know, it's what it's doing is that what it is just taking different approaches at horror. You know, a lot of times these horror movies were based around jump scares and shit like that, cheap scares. Writers and directors decided that if they're gonna make a horror movie, they wanted to make more like psychological type of horror. So, you know, of course there's jump scares and shit that are still in it, but they're using it in more creative, smarter ways. You know, shit that actually like what's more scary, a jump scare, or let's say if there's a scene where a character walks into a room, right? Let's say if a ghost is haunting their house, right? Let's say if their mom got possessed, right? Let's say if he walks into said room and his mom there's no sound at all, she's just doing some weird shit, right? Like let's say she's like cutting carrots, right? Goes up closer, she's not cutting carrots, she's cutting her fucking fingers off, right? Add like a small fucking musical thing at the end of it, bro. Have her jump scare, bro. Like that's how you had to build up to it and shit like that. There's new approaches in these horror movies and shit like that. Every once in a while they'll make like a shitty requel movie, right? Or they'll make a reboot movie. We don't talk about those. Those are no one wants to watch those. They're fucking dirty. Throw them in the trash and burn them and commit arson, because these movies should not have made past the writing phase. I'm an asshole. But no, these new horror movies they're fucking crazy, right? You know, now I don't know what the fuck, I don't know what the hell is gonna happen. You know, now we have Jordan Peele in the back corner making his trilogy of movies, right? They're all pretty good. I wouldn't say all of them are actually like scary though. I don't think Us was that scary. I think the other two had some scary moments. Us wasn't that scary. Us was just kind of funny in my opinion, you know. But I don't think it was made to be like horror. Like I don't think it's supposed to be made that scary. But I don't know what's gonna happen, bro. Honestly, I just really hope it stays strong, and it's just like we don't go into these weird fucking cycles of like these I'm not even like against franchises. It's just like if you're gonna do a franchise, make it good, please.